else?
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I need to know about the other guy.
Okay. Brett, what do you got? Do you have any updates on defense?
Yes and no. He's, what time is it now?
2 o'clock.
In a few minutes, he's going to see the doctor, and I'll have a better idea at that time. We're still saying it's a sprained knee with no idea of what that means. So we'll get a doctor's opinion, and they've done the MRI. The doctor's read the MRI. He's visiting with him, like I say, at 2:30 or something like that. I don't expect that we'll know anything unless something really bad came out, for the next couple of days. If he doesn't practice today, he can still play. But if he doesn't practice Wednesday, it'll be hard to play on Thursday.
Have you seen him the last day? Is he in discomfort? Anything you can elaborate
I saw
on?
him walking around on campus. He was going to class, so that's all I can tell you. He got treatment yesterday. He got in the pool yesterday. Feels a lot better than he did after the game. I know that, but I think anything else would just be pure conjecture and guesstimate.
Coach, in terms of your big guys and looking at Wisconsin, which of them could get out there on the perimeter and run around with Frank Kaminsky? And Desmond Hubert, if he was healthy, is he the type of guy who could put some defense on?
Desmond would be by far the best matchup, so what we're probably going to try to do is see if we can get Joel Berry to grow about 10 inches between now and Thursday, and that would be our best bet. It's hard to guard Frank because he's really good with the ball, he's really good without the ball. He can go out to the three-point line and do some damage out there. He's really a good passer, so it is a difficult matchup for us. Right now there's not one guy that I look at and say, oh yeah, he can guard Frank, because I haven't found that guy, but somebody's got to guard him for sure. That's probably the, if you're just thinking about matchups, that's the most difficult matchup by far. Even though they got some other really good players too.
Is there a 5 guy? I mean, is Portis the closest thing? I think about that first possession where you kind of pump fake and drove, but has that range as a 5 that can kind of test your defense like that you've played this year?
You know, Bobby, I think, made a 3 in the game, second half. You know, I'd have to think of who all we played. I know that Notre Dame, August is really a difficult matchup. I don't think he shoots too many threes, but boy, he's very agile and fluid and turns to both shoulders and does those kind of things. I can't think of another 5-man that goes out there and shoots threes like Frank does. And, you know, the first possession of the game, I mean, we had a goal. We really did because we guarded Bobby. If you don't ever leave the ground, you'll be better off defensively. That lasted 11 seconds. So that's how great a coaching job I've done. You know, don't ever leave the ground, you'll do a better job. So some way, somehow, we got to do a better job and get the information to them and get them to do it on Frank.
When you went out and checked on Kennedy when he was down on the court, what did you think as you were going out there, and what was your initial impression? Because he seemed to be, you know, he seemed concerned.
Well, it was. You know, he said that he heard a pop and he laid there, and I didn't see the play. So sometimes, you know, I saw when Sasha got hurt. I saw when Bobby Frazier tore his ACL. Some other guys I haven't seen, so of this I had no information. And but he was very concerned. I got a little bit better feeling when we were able to get him up to his rear end, putting both feet on the ground, and stand up, and then walking. You know, Bobby Frazier and I walked off the floor together, and I had a pretty good feeling at that point. But since then, I've matured and gotten a little more intelligent about the things. But I did feel, I didn't feel good because I didn't think we'd get him back the rest of the game. But I felt at that time that it wasn't similar to what Desmond did, and it wasn't similar to what Sasha did.
If I remember correctly, against Harvard, you guys trapped a little bit in the first half, trying to speed them up. It doesn't seem like that would maybe work as well against Wisconsin as well as they move the ball around. Is there anything you can do to try to enforce a little more pace against a team that's that careful with the basketball?
You know, I was trying to think. I think we did try to trap 3 different plays in the first half against Harvard, and we even did 2 or 3 against Arkansas. It wasn't try to speed them up, just try to steal the ball kind of thing. But Wisconsin's a little like Virginia. You have to be really careful. The more Bobby Knight told me one time, said, you know, when you double team, that means I got 4 against your 3. And if we expect your double team, you know, it's easier to prepare for it. Because he was talking about that I did it a lot less than Coach Smith did. And I said, well, I like for it to be a surprise and that kind of thing. But so I've always remembered that because we played them in '93 and we double teamed them a couple times, and all of a sudden they made one pass and then their best shooters got it behind the screen and they made 2 threes in a row, so we quit that jump pretty quickly. But against Wisconsin, they move and they move, but they're sort of probing, trying to wait for you to make a little mistake. My offensive rules every year I've been a head coach is 3 passes unless it's a layup, change sides of the floor and let the defense have a chance to make a mistake. And the way Wisconsin, with Virginia particularly, and Wisconsin to a certain degree, they capitalize. They're probing if you make a mistake. And so for us, it's got to be that question of being patient enough, tough enough to continue to try to be very sound fundamentally. You can trap somebody, but if they're a really good 3-point shooting team, just opens up more 3-point shots. So there's a reason they're #1 seed.
Coach, you've played a lot of teams this year that have tried to slow the tempo down. Do you feel like those experiences have helped your team? Have they benefited from those?
Oh, I think so. It's, you know, Virginia does the best job, but we played a lot of people that do it. But Wisconsin is, again, they're a 1 seed for a reason. They're able to get you to play their tempo most of the time more than you can get them to play the tempo that you want. You guys have heard me say I'd much rather win in the 90s, but if you want to be a really good team, you got to win in the 60s or 50s or whatever it is. But we've had some practice, but I don't know that, or had some games where teams have done a nice job and we've still done okay, and other times we haven't.
With the way college basketball has gone, it's become more difficult to force the tempo you guys like just throughout the course of the season, just normally. And do you do anything in practice to try to?
Well, you practice, you can't simulate it. I mean, you know, as much as you guys think you can, you cannot. I mean, today's blue team is Stillman, J. Cole, Spencer from the JV team, Jackson, and Denzel Robinson the last week before he turns into a fireman. I mean, we can't really simulate what the Dickies, Wisconsin's going to do. Now, come on. So we talk to them about it, and we show them the tape and the whole bit, but you can't do that. It's, you know, it's like an old story. If somebody played in Seattle, if they could, you know, simulate what Russell Wilson was doing, they wouldn't be simulating it because he would be their starting quarterback. And so for us, we'll show them the tape, try to build on the principles that we have. Today's college basketball, there's 2 or 3 things. People are allowed to do so much more with the basketball than they used to. Regardless of whether we like it or not, it's a much more physical game. There's just so many reasons that the ball, the scoring has gone down. I don't think you can pick any one, but it's hard to double team. I mean, I can remember when Coach Smith first started to run and jump. I mean, guys didn't dribble like they dribble now. You know, they weren't allowed to do those kind of things. And so that makes it, some guys love being double teamed. You know, you can ask a lot of point guards and they'd say, yeah, I'll bring that screen on here because if they double team me, I'm going to split it, and then it's 5 against 3. So I think that's the biggest thing that the game has changed.
You spend more time thinking about pace in general and how to speed it up than you used to, given the fact that there's a lot of slow teams.
No, because like I said, I don't think that if they're really good, I don't think you can speed them up. You just better be able to play at a different pace. And, you know, if we go out and make the first 5 or 6, and so if they don't make any of their first 5 or 6, it's going to be easier to maintain a faster pace because they're going to be discouraged. But all the time I'm saying, let's give them one bad shot. You know, our first goal is always to steal the ball, but you don't do that much anymore. I saw West Virginia play last night, and they're leading the country in turnovers forced, you know, and those kind of things. And we used to force a lot more than we do now. We're not as strong defensively at every single spot, but the biggest thing is we're not quite as mobile as we have been in the past with our big guys. Because when you trap people, your big guys have to go farther out on the court. And if you've got, and I love them, but if you've got Joel and Kennedy and Bryce, you're not going to be very good going out there. And so when we had Tyler Hansbrough, he could slide his feet like crazy. And so we could do more of those things. But I'm not going to worry about trying to speed him up. I'm not going to think 1 second about that, not one. I'm going to try to think about how cutting down on their field goal percentage and us making a high percentage and not turning into daggone basketball.
How do you approach taking a team that's never been to the Sweet 16, despite having, you know, some experience? I mean, do you do anything different in terms of just kind of, you know, making them understand the gravity of it?
Well, I think they see it's all right in front of them on TV all day, every day kind of thing. But I talked to them, I said, hey guys, this is before we played Arkansas. I said, there's very few people in here who have ever gotten to the Sweet 16. I said, the coaches and Desmond and Luke, and that's about it kind of thing. And that's the only thing I said. I think at this round, we're saying that we're happy with where we are, but hopefully we're not satisfied. And I always tell them that each round you go, the excitement, the fun, everything just gets be so much greater. You know, so hopefully try to hold that as an enticement. Other than that, you know, to me it's sort of like, okay, guys, you've never been here. Okay, so you better listen to what we got to say because the game changes. That's like telling a guy standing over the 8-footer, you know, I know you've never had one of these, but trust me, the hole is round and it'll go in. You know, probably not by you stroking it, but, you know, I just think you put too many negative thoughts in there, too.
Is there any advantage to being so far away on the West Coast, maybe just kind of having everybody the bunker down kind of mentality?
You know, there's some thought, you know, it's always strange wherever you are, everybody wants to think it's your advantage, and as a coach, you've got to think it is. Okay, you've heard me say I've never lost to a building, and a building's never won the game. You know, I made statements a couple of years ago that, you know, I want to be in the tournament. I don't care where we play. Yes, it'd be nicer if you're in Charlotte or Raleigh or Greensboro, but you still got to play the game. And everybody sort of made fun of it, but I was just thinking last night in '82, we won in Greensboro, no, excuse me, in Charlotte and in Raleigh, and then went to New Orleans. I got a feeling that Perkins, Jordan, and Worthy, those guys could have won if you put us in Timbuktu. So I don't really get too much involved, but out there it is. We're not going to have 15,000 people or whatever, but you got to play the game on the court.
I assure you this isn't a frivolous question, but
my answers are a lot frivolous. Right.
Other than like holiday tournaments and when you had your arm in a sling, I don't ever remember you coaching game not in a coat and tie. Why is that?
There's been moments, probably, I'm going to guess 10 in 27 years where I've taken my coat off. If 10 is the number, 9 is that I was just extremely upset about the officiating. There was one that I was extremely upset about our play, and that was the one in Greensboro. Coach Smith told me a long time ago, if you want to be respected as a businessman is, as a professional is, you got to dress like one. He never changed, he never told me any different. And so I will never coach a game unless I've got a coat and tie on. And that may be corny or silly or whatever it is, but I don't think that Coach Smith would coach a game today without one, so I'm not going to. Yeah, but I never. Coach Smith took his off a couple of times just because it was so hot, you know, because he would tend to wear that coat and shirt out sometimes, how much he'd sweat, but I don't think, I know he never took one off because he got mad.
When last you guys made the Sweet 16, obviously Stillman White was your starting point guard, and now he's back on the team. What do you just remember about that moment for him and how he handled it?
I thought it could have been one of the great stories ever if we'd have gone on. You know, it sort of got lost because we lost into the second game, the Elite Eight game. But I thought it could have been one of those great stories of who's this guy coming out of nowhere kind of thing. He really did a nice job for us. The difference between him and Kendall, if we'd had Kendall made so many more plays. Stillman's job was just keep us where we're supposed to be. You know, don't turn it over, don't try to do anything crazy. Stay between your guy and the basket. If you have to give him 27 feet, it makes no difference. You know, it was a pretty simple plan for him, and he really did a nice job. The problem we also had is that John was never John Henson after his injury in the ACC tournament. So it was not only you playing Stillman, who was not used to that athleticism against him. John wasn't really John yet, and playing Kansas in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four, you can't have any holes. You can't be slipping a little bit like that. And the fact that it was 4 or 3.5 hours away from their home made it a little bit more rowdy for them, kind of thing. But like I say, it was he really did a nice job. But it could have been one of those great stories that didn't quite work out.
Beyond critiquing your dance moves from the other night, when you got done, you and Bryce had a pretty forceful hug or whatever, and just as much as we talk about how much you get on him, is that kind of a special moment to have that with him?
Yeah, but I have a lot of special moments with Bryce. I mean, he's a wonderful kid. I've said, drives me crazy, but I absolutely love him. But I remember the other day, I said, I don't think players want me to tell them how good they are all the time if they know good and well they're screwing it up, and so I'm trying to coach him, trying to push him. I think offensively he's struggled the last 2 games. He was just as excited as anybody else was in that locker room, and I love that. He's just as excited when other people have success, and I love that. Defensively, he's got to get a lot better, and playing harder, he's got to get a lot better. I even talked to his dad after the game. His dad shared something with me that I will never share until he's 50 years old. But it is a good relationship. I was going to talk to Steve. We do so many things nowadays. There's nothing that's not open to the world, which I'm starting to have even more problems with. I like personal moments in the locker room. I don't like the fact that I get home and everybody says, well, we saw you do this and we saw you do that. And I know in today's world you've got to give everybody more things, but as I said, I was going to talk to Steve about this because I think I should see every freaking thing before it goes out to the public, because the locker room is my building. It is my room. It is my team's room. And so I have no idea if my dance moves were awful. I don't even remember dancing. I just remember it was a good time in the locker room with my kids, and I love that. I don't know what word I'm looking for, but it's private. And so I have no idea. My daughter hadn't called me and told me I embarrassed her yet, so I guess I'm okay.
Most of the talk about Wisconsin is the system and Kaminsky, but they have other talent, Decker in particular. How much more talented are they than what you've seen from them in the past when you have had a chance to see them? And is it the system meshing with the talent, which is why they're number one, or how much is the system dominant?
Well, I think, I don't think you have a system. I think coaches have philosophies. I know that may go back to Coach Smith getting disappointed with it from Charlotte. The writer in '82 said, you said something. Barrows, yeah. It is. Every coach has a philosophy that they believe in and things that we run a B1 is a basic cut, shuffle cut, okay? I saw that from the old Bryce, I think it's Bryce, Bruce Drake. You guys never even heard of him. Okay, that's been in 50 years. And I ran it when I was a freshman here. I ran it when I was on the staff. I ran it at Kansas, because I think it's good. I watch teams do the same thing. But it's not a system, it's something I believe in. And I think Bo believes in not turning the ball over. He believes in not fouling. He believes in playing man-to-man defense, and I think that's what we see. But yet, that's not the same team that I've seen some in the past. When we played them, and I can't even remember the youngster's name, there was a 6'7" power forward that they had in '05 that we played that was really a good post-up player. And I can watch them play right now, and it's 25 plays before they really ever post somebody up. But that guy, he was really good, but what's his name?
Tucker,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was his.
42.
Yeah, Orlando, something like that.
He's active.
Oh gosh, he worried me to death. And Sean May says, Coach, he's not big enough to handle me. I said, okay. I feel better already. Would we blow him out by 2 or 3 or something like that? But it's. I think that Bo's philosophy is built on a certain foundation, but Kaminsky does a lot different things than what Tucker did. And it fits. We tried like the Dickens to recruit Bronson. I loved Bronson King. I thought he was really something, and now he's gotten to play a lot because the Jackson youngster got hurt. Sam Decker I saw play 100 times because he played with JP on the same summer team. So I really, really liked Sam Decker. I think those two kids could have played in our philosophy as well as they played.
But they are much more than the philosophy, because they do have some big-time players that are going to continue to play.
Yeah, I mean, there's Bo can coach his rear end off, but you ain't going to be #1 seed with no players.
Well, I'm saying,
Coach Wooden told me one time, said, Roy, you're really good at one thing, really, really good. And I said, Coach, what's it? He said, you can coach guys with talent. And I looked at him, he said, and that's hard. He said, some people can't do that. And I said, oh. He says, and nobody can coach no talent. You know, and I thought he was a pretty intelligent guy. So, I mean, it's a philosophy, but no, they're gifted. They're really gifted.
On a little wider scope.
That's good, you paused and everybody shut up.
3 teams from this area in the Sweet 16, right, in the triangle. 5 teams in the ACC moving on. Just speak on that, you know, what the conference is doing.
I think what the ACC has done has been phenomenal. I think Virginia, it's a shame because they've had two great years. And some people say, well, you can't call them great if they didn't win it, which I think is wrong. But I think that 5 teams in the Sweet 16 speaks a great deal for our league. I think we spent a lot of time beating each other up during the season. We just didn't beat up enough of them, is my opinion. But and to have State and Duke and North Carolina, all 3, you know, you can drop that 30-mile blanket and cover all 3 of us. I think that's great too. Everybody was saying that ACC's bottom 3 or 4 was what made people say it wasn't as good as everybody else. But none of those guys want to coach here either.
I'm sorry, I
No.
didn't mean to cut it.
No.
You hear a lot of coaches say, we're out-coached and we're outplayed tonight, and I didn't do a very good job. And you said it Thursday night, but Tommy did a better job than you. But can you, when coaches say that, they never elaborate exactly. So can you elaborate and say, what did he do better than you did that night? Was it preparation, adjustments, or was he just covering a few layers?
There is a lot of the last part. I'm never going to go in and say, you know, Bryce didn't do this, or Bryce didn't do that, or Bryce didn't do this. I think that I want them to know that I'm with them. And so I do say that, but I mean it too. But there is part of it that I want them to know that I'm not just blaming you, I've got to do a better job. What he did, I think that he got his players to buy into our tempo that we talk about, our style, the way we want to get the ball to one guy and let him dictate the play, beat what I wanted to do. I wanted to play at a faster tempo, which I said it's really hard for you to dictate. I wanted us to not foul.